Sometimes the most powerful messages are actually the simplest ones, and that's exactly what we're looking at today. We're going to break down this one hand-drawn poster that, believe it or not, lays out an entire public health strategy for combating AIDS piece by piece.
Okay, so here it is. At first glance, right, it just looks like a simple drawing for World AIDS Day, but if you really look, it's kind of brilliant. It's this masterclass in communication, using these 4 separate squares to explain 4 huge ideas in the fight against this global pandemic.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at that big global symbol right in the middle. Then, we'll get into prevention. After that, advice and treatment, and we'll wrap up with the power of awareness. All right, let's dive into that core message first, because honestly, it really sets the stage for everything else we're going to see. So the first thing you probably notice is how big the artist is thinking here. You've got the entire globe, making it super clear this isn't just a local issue, it's a massive worldwide challenge. And then, wrapping right around it is that red ribbon. You know it the second you see it. And the poster even gives us a date, December 1st, World AIDS Day. This isn't just some random day on the calendar, It's that one day every year where the entire world comes together to focus on education, to remember, and to show support.
And that red ribbon? That's the real key here. It's not just a symbol of awareness. It's a powerful statement of support for people living with HIV. It's all about compassion and saying, we're going to fight the stigma together.
Okay, so now let's shift our focus to the top half of the poster. This is where we get into the first line of defense, prevention.
Wow, these messages are so direct. No messing around. On the left, you've got a syringe with a big X through it and 2 simple words, stop sharing. Then on the right, a blood bag that says, check blood before use. I mean, you can't misunderstand that, right? These are crystal clear instructions.
And what's so smart about this is that these simple phrases target 2 of the biggest ways HIV is transmitted. Stop sharing, that's a direct message about sharing needles. And check blood before use, that's all about making sure blood transfusions in hospitals are safe. It is public health advice boiled down to its absolute essence. But of course, prevention is only part of the puzzle. What about people who are already affected? Well, the poster moves on to cover that crucial system of support. And this is where the medical side of things comes in. Look at the bottom left corner. You see that stethoscope and the pills? They're under the heading Advice and Treatment. This little box represents the entire healthcare system that's geared up to help manage HIV and AIDS. Now, advice and treatment sounds simple, but think about everything that goes into that. It means having access to testing, being able to talk to a doctor privately, getting those incredible antiretroviral drugs that can literally save lives, and all the support you need to manage it day to day. It's huge.
All right, that brings us to our 4th and final piece of the puzzle. And this one, well, you could argue it's the foundation for everything else, getting the message out to the community.
So over in the bottom right corner, what do we see? A classroom. There's a teacher at a blackboard that says Stop AIDS, talking to a bunch of students. The message couldn't be clearer. Education is absolutely essential. It's how you empower people with the facts. And why is that so important? Well, because knowledge is what fights fear. It's what fights stigma. As soon as a community really understands the facts about HIV, how you can and can't get it, that's when you build a more supportive, more compassionate place for everybody. It tears down those walls that stop people from getting tested or asking for help. Okay, so let's zoom back out for a second and look at the whole thing again. Now you can really see how these 4 squares aren't just separate ideas at all. They're all part of one big, connected strategy. So if you think about it, each piece has its own focus. Prevention, that's about what we can do as individuals. Treatment, that needs the whole medical system behind it. And awareness, that's up to all of us, the community. And it's all held together by that global symbol of solidarity. And that right there is the biggest takeaway from this amazing drawing. You can't just pick one. You can't just focus on treatment or only on prevention. If you want to make real, lasting progress against AIDS, you need all of it. You need individuals, you need the healthcare system, and you need the whole community on board. When you boil it all down, the poster's most powerful message is also its simplest: raise awareness. That was true back when this was drawn, and it is just as true, maybe even more so today. So it kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? In our world with social media and all this technology, what's the best way for us to share a message like this now?